Caring for a loved one with dementia is challenging and overwhelming at times. We found ourselves looking for safety and engagement for our mom, but also a breather for us, some respite. We needed to get work done. We needed to try to find time to get things done around the home and just have space for ourselves. So we had no idea where to begin when we started this journey. And we were kind of looking constantly for ways to engage someone with dementia and programs in the city and all kinds of things. And we stumbled upon adult day programs. So I'm going to talk about adult day programs, which was our starting point for safety and engagement for our mom, all the way to long-term care, which is where we are at now with our mom, and the different stages of sort of options we explored and took advantage of in Ontario specifically. If you're in a different province or in a state, some of this might apply. It might be a little different where you are, but I'm going to share what we did all the way from the adult day program to long-term care, the different options we took advantage of. So we started with that adult day program. We stumbled upon it on the internet. I reached out to an adult day program because it looked amazing. And the response I got back was you need to be approved through Ontario Health at Home to get access. We didn't know that. So that's what got us on the journey to Ontario Health at Home, which is your gateway to all of the government assisted options in Ontario. So we got assessed, our mom got assessed through Ontario Health at Home. We got approved for this adult day program. And our mom got into the adult day program. This was an absolute lifesaver for us. She was there for 5 hours a day, multiple days a week. We knew she was being engaged. They did crafts and games. They fed her lunch. They took her on local excursions. We knew that she was safe and being taken care of for 5 hours a day, multiple days a week. It was such a wonderful way to keep her active and having some quality of life and give us that respite to get some work done. So adult day programs is my number one, like first option. I highly recommend look into adult day programs. The second option that we explored and took advantage of was having PSWs come into the home. So we were doing all of our mom's personal care at this point, and we really wanted to work our way to having an external, a professional PSW handle her personal care. But our mom wasn't ready for that. She does definitely have the syndrome of anosognosia, which is a big part of dementia. So not knowing that she needs help with anything, thinking she's fine. And so to have someone come in and try to do personal care, just we knew that wouldn't work. So what we did was through Ontario Health at Home again, we got approved for PSW hours for our mom, and we wanted them to come in and help with some household chores with her, help with some meal prep, take her for a walk, and sort of build a relationship so that when it came to the point, we could have them do some personal care. But here's the reality of the system in Ontario. And again, I speak from Ontario experience only. Basically, what happens here is Ontario Health at Home posts the role or the job, the need, and the different support organizations can pick up that role and send their staff to fulfill it. And so you don't have any control over who's coming in. You don't know, are they going to be the type that can build a relationship with our mom? How are they going to handle her? We did not have great success with PSWs coming into the home through Ontario Health at Home. A few things happened. One was, again, no control over who was coming. Our mom would say things like, I don't know why you're here, or you can leave now. And they just would leave. They would not make any attempt to influence that decision. They would just leave. Sometimes they wouldn't show up. So ultimately, it wasn't a great experience for us, but it might work for you. It is definitely an option that you would want to explore if you have your loved one living at home to take some of that burden of the personal care off of you. So do look into that. Now, there is a sort of secret program that we explored before we got into long-term care as we were getting really desperate for our mom's safety. Um, and it is called Family Managed Home Care. This is again through Ontario Health at Home, but basically what this is you ultimately become the employer. You hire people to come into the home. So you do have control over who you're bringing in. You manage their hours, their schedule, all of that. And Ontario Health at Home provides funding for that. But you ultimately are the manager of this sort of care in your home. So it does require you to be able to do that, to be able to, you'd be interviewing and managing schedules and having to deal with issues as they come up. There is, they just provide the funding and you have to manage everything. So this could be an option if you have that ability. Um, and you are able to, you have the physical layout of your home or the option to actually keep your loved one at home. You can explore family managed home care if you're in Ontario. Ask your care coordinator about that. Now, we ultimately got to the point where we needed a safer place for our mom to live. We couldn't have her doing stairs or just it was not safe for her to be in her home anymore. So we did move her into a retirement home to start. In Ontario, there are kind of two options for homes for seniors: retirement homes, which are privately paid, and long-term care, which is subsidized by the government. So, long-term care in Ontario, and I think across Canada and definitely across Canada, it is difficult to get into. It does take some time. So we put our mom on the long-term care list, again, approved through Ontario Health at Home. But while we were waiting for long-term care, we knew that we could not have her living at home, so we moved her into a retirement home. And many retirement homes have some options. They have basic retirement home where lots of people who maybe don't have cognitive difficulties or maybe just have a mild cognitive decline might live happily, cook their own meals, just be in community with other seniors. Then they also have assisted living, which is more focused on physical support and memory care wards. So we moved our mom actually into assisted living. She needed the support for getting changed and getting showered and food, eating, being served meals. She couldn't cook. So we moved into assisted living rather than memory care because at the time that we moved our mom, she was still very social. We really wanted her to build some relationships with people across the home. And we felt that that was in the layout of this particular home, it also just felt more homey to us. So that is where we went. Um, and the memory care wards tend to be a locked ward, so that the people with dementia cannot get out. They usually have sort of a mural over top of the door, so the door is not really visible for them, and the staffing is more focused on that cognitive care. So, a few things to know about retirement homes. They are not inexpensive. So we toured many different retirement homes. We saw rates anywhere from the high 5,000s to $8,000 for a base level, not any extra care. So basically, generally you would get meals for that, but sometimes not even help getting dressed or anything. Then different retirement homes handle care levels differently. So some of them might have a package of care that might include, assistance with meals or maybe like assistance with getting dressed before and or at the beginning and the end of the day and a shower and some of that physical care. There might be like a package of some more dementia related activities or something like that. All the different homes tend to do this a little differently. Some of them have packages that include multiple things, and it's $1,000 extra a month. Some of them have per day rates for different things. So it's, $25 a day for getting changed, for assistance in getting dressed in the morning or something like that. These are just examples, don't quote me. But all different levels, and ultimately, these levels will certainly start to add up as your loved one continues to decline. The retirement home really did feel in many ways like a neighborhood, like a home. There were some really great things about it. The room was nice, it felt like an apartment. And it did serve us really well for a time. But ultimately, our mom's care became too much, and those levels of care would have added up to something that was not sustainable for us. So we were ultimately on the long-term care crisis list. I have a video about how that worked for us, but we recently moved into long-term care. So that in Ontario tends to be the final stage. Long-term care is government co-paid. There are specific rates for the basic room, semi-private room, and private room. So you can see transparently what the rate is for the year. You can find that right on the Ontario website. And every home has sort of different ways that those rooms are set up in their home. So we found, for example, some of them had a semi-private room that only shared a bathroom. So it was actually quite private. Some of them, their semi-private room just had like a half wall dividing the two beds. Lots of different sort of configurations. Some of them had four people in a basic room or two people in a basic room. So here, my advice is you definitely, definitely need to tour these homes and understand that the options that are there. You can choose which options you're open to for each home on your application. Um, we have a whole video all about long-term care questions that you should ask. A few that pop out for me is level of staffing. So find out the ratio of PSW to residents. Find out, do they have a nurse on site? Do they have a doctor? Do they um, uh, ask some questions about what it's like to work there to get a sense of like how happy and engaged the staff are, because that will make a difference to the level of care. Ask about dementia specific training. These things will definitely matter. So check out our video with other questions to ask. So those are the options that we have explored. Adult day program, PSW in your home, family managed home care where you staff the care in the home, retirement home options, assisted living, memory care, and ultimately long-term care. You are not alone in this. There are ways to get respite. So look to, start with Ontario Health at Home if you're on Ontario. Whatever your provincial or sort of state options are, you might have something different, but definitely look into this before it's too late. One thing I know for sure is when we finally moved our mom, we were probably too late. I had heard that before, that if you're thinking about it, you're probably should already be there. And I have to say, I agree after going through this. I wish we had moved her earlier so she was able to make those connections and relationships and kind of get accustomed to this way of life. It is a big adjustment. It takes some time, and the more cognitively aware they are when you're doing that, it might be a little easier. Um, it's a hard situation, and explore all your options. No matter what you're doing, know that you're doing the best you can because there are so many challenges, and I hope sharing our story can help you through some of them.